to the city.
It's on.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm wearing my glasses. We're inside tonight for a very good reason.
It's hot.
It is super hot, even in the evenings right now. I don't know, end of August, but August and July are generally thought of as the hottest months here. But our weather around here, you never know. You can predict certain things, but not much. Well, we have had snow in the end of October before, but we're ways from that. Right now, we are going through an excessive heat wave. It's up around hundreds most days for a good portion of the day. And if it's not hundreds, it feels like it is.
Well,
and it can affect you.
At 10 o'clock this morning, I went out for my walk. It was 90 degrees in shade.
Yeah.
So, but
And if I'd have been awake, I probably wouldn't have let him go.
I walked almost 15 blocks this morning.
He's so proud of himself.
Yeah.
90 degrees. We can be somewhat used to that around here in the summer. However, we're getting a little older. But he has learned a lot. He had a case of heat exhaustion. That's not something you run to the hospital for, but you need to learn from it. Why don't you tell him some of the things that you felt when you had heat exhaustion?
Well, I don't remember if I had nausea, but I don't think I did. But I just tired, just weak feeling, thirsty, leg cramps. Oh man, I got leg cramps. Trying to go to bed at night, they'd start acting up. I'd have to get up and drink a Gatorade to try and help, and take an aspirin or some Tylenol. And if I'd go outside, it seemed like the heat just felt twice as hot as what it was. It was like that for about a week or so.
Yeah. Well, you were on the roof or painting at that time?
I don't remember.
Whichever, he was very sick. He wasn't like heat stroke. And I want to discuss, that's why I've got well, you don't see it. I've got my computer here, and I've got it pulled up to a couple different pages. Now, for those of you who have a Celsius scale instead, for 100 here, it's 37.7 or 0.8 degrees for you, or 38 degrees Celsius. So that gives you an idea of what 100 feels like here. And it's been getting up above 100 several times. And if we got humidity, which we often do in this heat, then it's really hot. It can feel much hotter. But I want to do this because I want people careful, and I want you to not only be careful, I want you to be aware, because I think it's positive to want you to be healthy. So, and not just heat cramps, you can have things like painful muscle cramps, a lot of times in the legs or even in your stomach. First aid, it's usually just apply pressure where it's cramping and rub it, or to relieve the spasm, stuff like that, and sips of water. If you get nauseated, make sure that you just don't give any water, because if you start vomiting, you're going to dehydrate even more. Now, one thing that I don't see here as it's good if you get some electrolytes. You need to get, well, you can use an electrolyte drink. Definitely get some, if you've been sweating profusely, you need to get some salt back in your system. And electrolytes, or, and water. Water can hold a lot of electrolytes, but an electrolyte drink is going to help to replenish those a little faster. But pinch of salt and some water definitely help. Heat exhaustion, that's kind of like what he had. Symptoms can be heavy sweating. He came in yesterday and he had that heavy sweating. We did the short, and it's up and I haven't been on there to answer your deals, and I will do that. This is Sunday when the short went up. But yes, he was sweaty, but he has learned to take Gatorade, not sponsored, at least a small Gatorade or two out with him when it's going to be hot. And he has learned from experience, I hope, to come in when it gets super hot and just veg out. Anyway, but yeah, exhaustion, heat exhaustion, the symptoms can be heavy sweating, which he had yesterday, weakness or tiredness, cool, pale, clammy skin. No, those he wasn't heavy, he was just sweaty, but he knew it was time to come in.
My shirt was just soaked after half an hour to an hour.
Yeah. So he didn't stay out too terribly long.
But I was working on the kitchen window and there just wasn't enough air out there. If I got away from the window, then there was a south breeze, but it was still hot.
Yeah.
But I could sit on the picnic table and kind of rest up, and then I'd go work for a little while. But it was just hot.
And we have an appointment tomorrow, and it's supposed to be up in the hundreds. It's in the morning.
It's supposed to be the last day of it for a while.
I don't know. If it's too terrible, it might be smart for me to postpone the appointment. Because the thing of it is, when you're out on the road traveling, your air conditioner can get in. But we haven't had much trouble with this car, so anyway. Okay, symptoms: heat, sweating, weakness, tiredness. He had that. The cool, pale, clammy skin. I don't remember if you had that, probably, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it's been too long ago.
A fast, weak pulse. If it's too fast or too weak, you want to make sure you get that under control quickly. And that, you probably need to get cooled down, get some electrolytes. And if that doesn't stop, you want to get a doctor involved. Dizziness, nausea or vomiting, headache, and fainting. Those can all be involved, but this is where you've got to take a little bit of, you have to kind of discern, or try to, if in doubt, call the doctor or the emergency room and find out if you should go in, or just go in if you're in doubt. Because heat exhaustion or heat stroke isn't far from there if you're feeling faint. Heat stroke isn't far off. That's symptoms. Okay. First aid. If you are feeling heat exhaustion, you need to get into a cooler environment. So get back inside where you've got some air conditioning or fans or something and some cover from the sun. And a well air-conditioned room is what it recommends. Loosening your clothing. In other words, get some looser clothes so that they're not, pressing on you and with all that sweat and everything. You want to put cool, wet cloths on, or even just go sit in a cool bath. But not cold, cool. And have a person, near you. And definitely sips of water unless it turns into vomiting. Now here's heat stroke. You don't want to mess with heat stroke. That's why I say if you're in doubt, then you go in to the emergency room or however you have to do it. With heat stroke, you can get a throbbing headache, confusion.
I had a headache.
He had a headache. He wasn't confused, thank goodness. Nausea, dizziness, body temperature above 103, hot, red, dried skin, dry or damp, it says. Rapid and strong pulse, Okay, I guess so. Rapid and strong pulse. If it's rapid and your heart's beating too hard, I guess. I mean, I got this up off Google, but I read through it, and it's very close. So, fainting and loss of consciousness. If you have lots of consciousness, or if you're somebody around you does from heat, you get the ambulance there. First aid for heat stroke is to call 911 or get the victim to the hospital immediately. Heat stroke is a severe medical emergency. Don't mess with it. Delay can be fatal. You think about how hard that heart is working to produce what that body needs as far as just moving fluid and electrolytes. Electrolytes are things like sodium, calcium, potassium, things like that. But anyway, move the victim to a cooler, preferably air-conditioned space, kind of like the other. Do not give fluids, especially if their temperature's up. Well, let's see. Yeah, you want to reduce the body temperature with cool clothes and or bath. Use a fan if heat index temperatures are below the high 90s. Heat index temperatures, I don't know. Anyway, and a fan, you can make a hand fan if you want to, and but don't give fluids, because with heat stroke, if you give fluids, it can make them nauseous. They can, but they will give them fluids through IV at the hospital. Believe me, they will. So, but yeah, this is something I just wanted to bring up tonight. I thought it was really important that everybody this time of year be looking out. And I know there's places that, you know, up north that probably aren't getting it this bad, but they can. My folks were in Alaska when my dad was in the Air Force up there, and they remember a few 100-degree days. It's not frequent, but it happens. So our Earth is temperamental. And I think that's why they call them temperature. So, but yeah, we've been having a good time. But yeah, when he comes in as soaked as he was yesterday, like you have probably seen by now, and I was asleep, so Maddie probably already posted it. But yeah, be sure to just take care of yourselves. Be thinking about it. When you know the temperature's that hot, think about not pushing it outside. Watch the elderly, especially, because, and the really young, because a lot of times they don't realize when it's time to come in. Our granddaughter, our oldest granddaughter, we were never really sure, but we would have her come in a lot of times. She didn't want to, but she would get very red, and we didn't really see sweat on her like we would the other kids. But she's older now and she sweats fine. But my grandfather didn't sweat very well, so he had to be very careful of the heat. Anyway, we're running out. Our video's running out.
It is.
Well, our battery is. I don't know about the video, but
I know my nephew, when he was in the Marine Corps, he had trouble. He couldn't sweat, so his drill instructor was having him do push-ups because he did something wrong. I don't know what, but he would spit on the ground and make it look like he was sweating. So,
probably because he didn't sweat enough for him.
yeah, if he wasn't sweating, drill instructor didn't think he was working hard enough, so he'd make him do
Drill
push-ups.
instructors need to be aware of there are
Anyway.
people who don't sweat like the rest of us.
In order to make him look like he was sweating, he would kind of dribble, slobber, spit on the ground down below him so it looked like he was sweating.
Well, maybe that was a smart move on his part.
Yeah, it was. He didn't have to do as many push-ups. So,
Jeez.
Yeah, instructors,
Yeah.
I can't say the word right. They can be, some can be worse than others. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, they're there to make you strong,
Yeah.
but I would think if a medical condition like that existed and the Army knew about it, they probably would have made him 4F. But I don't know if that's a common problem with him or if it was just that he had a lot of tolerance. So
He can't sweat.
well, they needed to know that. I don't
But
know.
anyway, that
Yeah,
was many years ago.
yeah, it was.
And we're about running out of batteries, so we're going to have to say goodbye.
Or else get a different battery. I think we've been talking long enough, and it's just I'm concerned about our health, but I'm also concerned about all of you. I'm concerned about all those who get out there in this heat, and just
Construction workers and
people who work construction and
people work on electric lines and that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
people
That's-
get up high. People work with creosote.
Roofing,
Oh, that kind of stuff. It just.
blacktopping. All that
And a
stuff.
lot of times they'll make them work on those days because it's when they can get out there. It's not raining. But they need to have a little sense to them too.
Well,
They need to have a lot of fluids
well,
available.
roofing you can't always work on it in the heat because you're putting too many footprints in the shingles and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But
So you have to do that in the morning or late at night. But anyway.
yeah, it's a hard call sometimes. It is. So anyway, we love you.
See ya.
That was a good smack. There's your smile and wave. Go share it.
Bye.
And we love you. And we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Okie dokie.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the